Welcome to the Inside Texas press conference reaction. I'm Joe Cook. That's Evan Veith. Steve Sarkisian spoke earlier today over Zoom, talking a little bit about Kentucky, talking a little bit about some of the changes to his team's roster, and maybe even a change in the starting lineup as well. We'll go over that. But first, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you head to InsideTexas.com. Hit that first link in our description. That'll get you a place to sign up for just $1. Join the Best Texas Longhorns website. Get the Best Texas Longhorns intel. Be part of the Best Texas Longhorns community. Can't wait to see everybody over there joining us on the members-only board. But, Evan, today, Sark, normal Thursday Zoom, we went over how everybody was down on the program after Florida, and they're back up after Oklahoma. Now they go to Kentucky, and there's a certain quality that Sark's looking for from his team as they head to Lexington.
Yeah, if you look at the way this season's been bracketed, I guess is the way to talk about it. You had this Ohio State game to start where it's a big disappointment, a lot of expectations coming in, and a lot of the media is kind of going after Arch Manning and the team. Then you get an okay game week 2, a pretty bad game week 3, and then a great one week 4. You go to the bye, you get a bad one, and then a good one. So it's about disrupting this sequence of this Texas team, stringing together 2 straight good games, which hasn't happened all this year. And yeah, Sark pointed out he needs this to be a maturity game for his team. When you think about the distractions that have come out from the entire year, but even just this week with 2 players declaring a red shirt and leave the team, there's a world where you see these players maybe take an easier matchup a little more lightly, but it's clear that that's not what can happen with this team right now. They have to win out. I know we talked on our board a little bit today about the path to the playoff, and maybe there's a 9-3. I don't think so, especially not if one of your losses is against Kentucky. So this team needs to be able to beat a clearly inferior team, but still an SEC opponent that is going to give them their all, because they're also fighting to eventually make a run this year. So the Longhorns have to stay mature, and that's something Sarkisian's clearly been preaching to his team this week.
Yeah, and he was one of the ways he really emphasized that was with Arch Manning. And Arch earlier this week on Monday, he said, like, yeah, everybody's telling me to block out the noise. I get 100 text messages to block out the noise, and, drew all the laughs. But it's real, hey, block out the noise, what noise? What are you talking about? And he claimed that he didn't hear about that Athletic article. He claimed that Michael Taft's Instagram story, shouting him out, didn't see that. But Arch is somebody that Sark wants to set the tone for the team. And it sounded like from what Sark said today, Arch has done just that. And that even was going on last week. When you're dropping back 40-something times and you're getting pressured and you're getting hit, you're going to be banged up. I think a lot of people saw that leg sleeve that Arch was wearing and thought, like, oh, he's got some swag on the quarterback. That may have been, just kind of thinking off the top of my head here, that may have been because that man got banged up in Gainesville, but he came out. Sark said Arch did not miss a single rep of practice that week. And that's the type of maturity and the type of just attitude that he wants to see not only Arch continue to bring, but the rest of his team continue to bring.
Yeah, I doubt the players ever were questioning Arch Manning's buy-in to the team or how much of a competitor he was. But you come onto a team where the number one headline, despite what you did last year, is this guy who hasn't started in the college football season yet. So maybe there's a little bit in the back of players' minds of, like, what if he's just a Manning skating through trying to get to the NFL? But clearly after Florida, that's not what happened. That's a guy who took a ton of shots. The teammates saw those shots he was taking, and he got back up every single time. And then, like Sarkisian said, goes back and practices, takes every single rep in practice. There's a lot of respect that gets earned by a quarterback when they show that they can take those blows, because, I don't know, there's sometimes a stereotype of the quarterback's the protected position. It's the one where you can get away with the calls and whatever. But clearly not what's happened with Arch Manning this season. And Sark said, and I quote, I don't think there's been a sigh of relief from Arch. It's more of we've got to drill deeper. What I've seen with the leadership, he's getting more and more comfortable. And I think that's an important thing to hear about your quarterback, is that not only is it's not just that the team is saying, oh, thank God. It's, we know we've got this. We got to see more, and that more is going to get us to a place we want to be.
One of the big changes to the offense is going to be on that offensive line. Cole Hutson is out this week, was listed on the Wednesday availability report. Not exactly clear what's going on. Sark hinted very, very, generally that injury is not one he thinks is going to be season-ending. One he knows will not be season-ending. They sound like they expect Hutson back. But no matter what's going on, him being out means Connor Robertson's going to get the start at center. At least that's what we expect. And Sark was complimentary of Robertson, who at this point, good news for Texas, he's still a veteran in a sense. You're not throwing a true sophomore or a redshirt freshman out there, and someone who he has a lot of faith in to get things done this week.
Yeah, I know we've had our griefs about this offensive line this year, but if there's one position entering the season and clearly throughout the season that there was depth at, it's at center because you've got Hutson and you've got Robertson, who are both same class 4-year players in the program. So I don't think you're going to see that much of a drop off. He had a few shaky moments in that one start he had earlier in the year in the out of conference when Hutson was out, but I don't think it's going to be much that you're going to notice either anyway. And Robertson's going to be one of those guys that's going to have his first career starting season in his 5th year, which you don't see very often in college football. So I doubt we see much of a misbeat. And clearly, this is the kind of guy that Sark and Arch both trust to go out there and start a game.
When you rep your team, don't stop at the jersey. Dollar Shave Club's collegiate razor handles combine grooming with glory, letting students, grads, and fans show their school spirit and style. From the sink to the stadium, shave with school pride. Visit dollarshaveclub.com today and grab your college razor handle and hook 'em. I think with the way this offense really picked up outside zone over the course of the past week with Oklahoma, that may be a good thing for Robertson. He's been trained at the center position. You're not throwing a guard in there and hoping for the best. Sark talked about how he's been, prepared for the calls. He's got a good rapport with Arch. I don't think they live together, but I think they're, they've been close for a while. I'm pretty sure they're both Silver Spurs, if I had to guess. So those are some guys who have good rapport, and Sark was pretty happy about that. Last little thing to talk about. Sark confirmed what Eric Naline had wrote the other day in the aftermath of Jarrett Gibson leaving the program, taking his red shirt, planning to enter the transfer portal at the end of the season. Michael Terry has moved into the running back room full time. He started out as a wide receiver, and that was just a place that they took an athlete in every sense of the word, someone who really fit that recruiting network designation perfectly. They took him from the wide receiver spot. Now they have him in the running back room after doing some scout team work. And Sark sounded pretty excited to maybe see number 11 maybe get carries this weekend, but just work at that position going forward.
I really wasn't expecting Sark to say anything about Terry playing on Saturday. That seemed like quite a jump, even though this is a thin running back room. I know Ricky Stewart's probably not going to get much run, but you'd think he'd even be ahead, or Ryan Niblett. But it seems clearly that they want him at running back. That's a clear plan they have going forward. And yeah, I know he had the 5 stars by his name. A lot of that came from his build, his athleticism. But you got to remember, when these guys come in as tweeners, where he played wildcat, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. He played every skill position on the offense. They're not going to be able to contribute right away because they don't have a position yet. And he was kind of just thrown at wide receiver. It seemed like the best spot to put him depth-wise. Also the one that's most complete for what he wants to be as a player by his junior year or his 3rd year at the program. So it's good that they've at least found a spot to put him. And I think he's also gracious to have that, I'm getting an opportunity. I had a chance at wide receiver to break through, but we ever going to beat out Livingston with extra time, Mosley, who already had a great year there? Probably not. So I think about Jelani McDonald, who came in as an athlete, and it was the same idea that you said, Eric, Joe. I almost said Eric. You mentioned Eric earlier. Same idea where he was truly an athlete. I mean, Jelani McDonald played some quarterback in high school, but then he comes in almost as a linebacker, played some cornerback, and then settled at safety by the end of his first year. And look where he is now. He's going to be an NFL draft pick after the season. So I think that's a similar thing that can happen with Michael Terry. And he's a big dude. He's going to be able to get some bruising back work. And that's something that you lose with Jarrett Gibson. So I'm pretty excited to see it. I'd love to see it on Saturday if Texas can get a lead and maybe give him some reps.
One thing that came to mind for me is Texas running backs coach is Chad Scott, who is at West Virginia. Also in the building is Neil Brown, who is at West Virginia. They took C.J. Donaldson, who was a tight end recruit, I think a player they planned to use at tight end. West Virginia had a running back emergency, and then they're like, okay, we need somebody back here. What are we going to do? And they put him at running back, turned him into a pretty effective running back for all things considered with what was happening in Morgantown last year. So a little bit different physical profile. Terry's a little bit lighter, and that's probably due to Sark and even Torrey Becton saying, okay, we're going to try you at wide receiver. Let's not pack anything on you quite yet. But if that's the permanent choice for Texas at this juncture, Terry can pick up maybe 10 to 15 more pounds. He can be 6'3" and 220 plus. And if Chad Scott can turn C.J. Donaldson into a running back and an effective one that Texas is very familiar with after I think playing them both at West Virginia and Ohio State, maybe number 11 and Michael Terry can do something similar for Texas without Jarrett Gibson for the rest of the year. So a lot of different things. We have takeaways, we have insight, we have reporting up from Sark's Zoom and everything else. So go make sure you head to that first link in the description. Go to InsideTexas.com, sign up for just $1. Get the best Texas Longhorns insight, get the latest news, join the best community, and get that for $1. Just go to that link, and we look forward to seeing everybody there. So, Evan, good luck getting to Louisville. Good luck in Louisville. Good luck in Lexington. Haven't been to up to Lexington. Got COVIDed out of a basketball game at Rupp, but Kroger Field should be a lot of fun, and looking to talking with you after the game on Saturday. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Press Conference Reaction on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.